Even though soccer is about 85% mental, most coaches only talk about it for 5% of the time. And if you're a high school center mid trying to get to the next level, you probably clicked on this video because your confidence comes and goes. One game you feel great, the next game you make one mistake, and suddenly everything falls apart. So in the next few minutes, I'm gonna break down the 4 mental strategies that helped transform my confidence as a center mid. These helped me go from an average player in high school to a Division I captain at the College of Charleston. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Chris, and now I work with high school center mids across the country, develop their game so they can get to the next level too. This stuff is all I do. And these 4 strategies are exactly what helped me improve so quickly. So let's start with the first strategy. You need to understand this one concept. Current trajectory is greater than current results. If you're a bit confused on exactly what that means, check out this image. You can see how player A on the left starts out at a higher point, but over time, he doesn't reach the same level as player B does. So even though player B in this situation might have been worried at the beginning that he was behind, he caught up and surpassed player A. And here's why this is important. As long as you are improving at a fast enough rate and you're doing the right things each day, you will beat your competition. And I'm not saying at all that you're not already a decent player. In fact, you're probably playing on a top club team. But if you're anything like I was in high school, you have a tendency to compare yourself to other guys around you, the offers they have, the way they play, and you just want to be the best, but you just forget that what matters is your process, not your outcomes. And that's normal, so have this one concept in mind. Just say it back to yourself. My current trajectory is far more important than my current results. As long as I'm doing everything right each day, it's unreasonable for me to fail. One of my remote athlete Strayans joined my remote mentorship program a few months ago. Back then, he would play well, but then have one bad moment in a game, start spiraling downwards, and then be afraid to ask for the ball again. So when we started working together, we really focused on this first mental concept along with the next 3 that I'm about to share to you. We made a little bit of progress each day, and then a few months later, he was back to enjoying the game again. How do you do it? Well, he was constantly reminding himself that his current trajectory is far more important than his current results. Now he's been balling out, and all of a sudden, college coaches are reaching out to him to get on the phone. So if you want my personalized help on getting you to that peak version of yourself, where you're walking to games knowing that you're gonna put on a show, you can apply to join the program. It's the first link in the description of this video. But back to the mental strategies. The second thing that separates average mentalities with the top mentalities is your ability to recover. And I'm not just talking about sleeping and stretching after your game. I'm talking about getting through the difficult moments. Because the truth is, you're gonna go through tough times again. You'll lose games, you'll have bad performances, and you'll have emotional low points. But if you understand this technique, you'll be able to bounce back way faster. That way you can get back to playing well as fast as possible. Because you have to understand that no player is simply immune to their emotions. The top guys, they simply get back to neutral quicker. For example, a future D1 player might have made a mistake that leads to a goal. He'd be down on himself for 10 minutes, and then he would just get back to playing and bounce back. Well, before I learned this technique personally, I would make a mistake like that and I would be down for days. I'm not exaggerating. So how do you avoid that? Well, here it is. I call it the POT technique. P stands for pain. You just need to get through the pain. One of the best sayings out there is this: the best athletes take the best showers. You might be thinking, Chris, that's kind of weird to talk about, but the whole concept has nothing to do with how you shower and everything to do with the mental piece. So after you have a poor performance, for example, you need a trigger that will help you mentally reset. You can take a long shower that really distances yourself from the game. You can set a timer on your phone and say, I'm only allowed to feel bad until this timer runs out. Or you can do this. When I was in college, actually, the facilities and stadium were across a bridge, while all of us on the team lived and went to classes on the other side. So my coach used to talk about a similar concept, and it was super eye-opening. He was saying it's okay to be emotional over here, referring to the side on the stadium and the locker room. But when you get across the bridge, you have to get back to it. You have to reset. So find a technique that works for you, or you can copy one of the ones I just shared. You just need to get through the pain. The O in POT stands for out. You need to zoom out. Zooming out is really the key to getting through any difficult moment. For example, if you have a bad game and you're feeling down, you just need to take a deep breath, zoom out, understand that this is not your last game ever, and you've felt down before and gotten through it. In fact, take a second right now and think about every single bad game you had 2 years ago. You probably can't remember. Zoom out, you'll live, and then move on to this last step. The T in POT stands for take action. See, a lot of center mids can get through the first 2 steps. They can recover mentally after a certain period of time. Then the next game, they just make the same mistakes. So they have to go through the cycle again and again. The most important part of this is that you take action. In the past, I've called this step seek what you don't know. In other words, you have to be intentional. You have to look over your game film and decide on the one thing that you might have missed that it's important that you take action on. And then when you train on your own the next week, you should be focusing on that exact part of your game, or else you won't really learn. But to be honest, this step can be pretty difficult for center mids in high school. I know for me, it was pretty hard to know what to look for in my film and how to train the right way to fix the mistakes. But being able to analyze your own game film is what is going to allow you to separate yourself yourself from all the other talented recruits out there, especially when you're in season when it matters most. That's why it's such a big part of my community of center midfielders. So the third mental strategy is to eliminate the words good and bad from your vocabulary. I've spoken on this more in depth in other videos, but I'll give you the rundown here. And this example might sound pretty weird at first. You need to treat your soccer development like a baby trying to walk. That means when you make a mistake, like a baby falling down, the worst thing that you can do is yell at it. Because what's gonna happen to the baby that just gets yelled at and gets put in timeout for trying to walk? Well, it's not gonna be very good at walking, is it? So be non-judgmental in your individual training, your team training, and your games, and honestly, every part of your life. You gotta let it grow. But here's the interesting thing. Labeling something as good is just as dangerous as labeling something as bad. So when you say, oh, that was terrible, when you mess up a pass, it's just as bad as saying, oh, that was a great pass. See, when you start to talk about your game like it was good, your mind starts to attach to that outcome. So you're happier, but not because of your trajectory, because of your results. And that's dangerous. So you need to switch your mindset from saying, I scored a goal, so that was good, to something like, I prepared well and did the right things. I got better. The first mentality won't get you to the next level. The second mentality will. So the last strategy that you can implement right now to really get that mental game at its peak is to have a mantra. Pretty much a 2 to 6 word phrase that summarizes what you need to focus on the most mentally. You can copy the one that I use personally every single day. It's be anti-outcome. Or a little bit longer, be anti-outcome and pro-process. I came up with this because I can struggle with that tendency of holding on and attaching to results. So when I just take a deep breath, say to myself, be anti-outcome, I can get back to the process where it really matters. A lot of the guys in my program all have their own, so I'll share a few. You can say, let it fly, stand tall and demand the ball, play free, stay in the moment. These are super simple, but they're lethal for your mental game. So they're the 4 mental strategies that you need. And I'm more than happy to make these videos and share what's worked for some of the center mids in my program. But in reality, I don't know who you are. I'm just sharing ideas. So if you want the whole thing and you want to work with me one-on-one through a 12-week mentorship system, that way you can get to the next level, just click the first link in the description and you'll see a video on that page that explains the program. You can apply to join and I'll reach out to you personally to see if you'd be a good fit to join the group. Talk soon.